Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with Iraq Veteran 8888, and today we've got, you guessed it, another gun gripe episode for you.
No.
Yeah, another one.
No.
And today we're going to be talking about some stuff that is going on in Oregon. A couple of our viewers brought this to our attention, and we thought that we would show a little support for our Pro 2A people up in Oregon and to shed some light on what is going on. So currently there is a petition floating around. It needs considerable amount more signatures by July in order to have a ballot measure added, which would basically disarm essentially every Oregonian, if I may, that is pretty much out there. So it's a pretty big deal, and we kind of want to elaborate on it. And one thing I do want to mention before we get into today's video, obviously, if you love the channel and you want to support us, there's definitely ways that you can support the channel if you wish. We accept donations on Patreon if you want. We've also, we sell a mystery box every month called Man Cans if you want to pick up one of those. All of those funds support the channel. We also sell our t-shirts on Force from Freedom. If you love the channel and you'd love to support us, that is the most direct way you can support us if you wish. So that support is greatly appreciated, and guys, we need it more than ever. So I just want to put that out real quick as we continue today's video. Shameless plug, but I figure I would mention that because we people do ask us how they can support us if they wish, and that's the most direct way you can support us. Anyway, I wanted to just mention that really quickly. Yeah, this is some pretty sketchy stuff. So, Chad was reading through the measure earlier, and it's definitely got some things that reek of tyranny, of course. In fact, they even go on and
you smell that?
Smells like
tyranny.
Smells like tyranny. But they even go on in there to say, even though we know this is not constitutional, anyway, I'm going to have him read off some of the areas of this. So what are we dealing with here on this?
All right, so this says, Oregon initiative would allow or would ban assault weapons, require owners to surrender certain guns, but they actually have a provision in there to allow you to register your assault weapons. Blah-de-blah. Wow. All right, but it says a proposal. I don't know if this petition's floating around yet or anything like that. It's supposed to be on the ballot. So I'm guessing the ballot this year, and they're going to start this petition up. But they
have to be able to get enough signatures for it to be a ballot measure.
They've got to have 88. It says they've got to have 88,000 signatures, and this is fun. So a proposal to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines in Oregon has been submitted as a ballot initiative petition intended to prevent mass shootings. Now, if you guys don't know what a ballot initiative is, basically you can get enough signatures on a petition to add a measure to a ballot that is voted upon by the state's residents in November, I suppose, okay? And it allows pure democracy to take effect. So basically the popular vote wins. So if they have a team of attorneys that word these things in such a way that it really, it really dives into your feels real good, and like, oh man, yeah, that sounds really good. We need to stop these mass shootings because they're crazy. Yeah, I'll vote for that. I'll vote for that. Yeah, and then guess what? Now you're banning assault weapons, and then you're making people register them. You're infringing on everyone's 2A rights, and you didn't even realize it. That's how ballot.
Oh, they realize it.
There's no representation.
They realize what they're doing.
There's no representation there whatsoever. You really don't have a say, especially if you live in a state that is not 2A friendly.
There's a lot of rural areas in Oregon, and we've been up there, and it's actually a very beautiful state.
It's gorgeous.
Man, what a nice state. In fact, I was so impressed at how beautiful that place really was. You get out of the city, and man, it is just such a nice state. Such a diversity of different geographical anomalies, so to speak.
Very varied geography. You got the coast and all the evergreens and and Mount Hood, I believe, is that what's over there? We went over Mount Hood, and then
was so cool.
They've got high desert. It's just so pretty out there. It's like, man, it's a shooter's paradise.
There's so many turds out there that want to ruin it for everybody.
Pretty much.
And the thing is, and that's what this all comes down to, is you look at you look at things such as just the way that this country's ran. You look at the way that these votes are taken in. You don't want the cities to be able to control, what all the rural people have to deal with. Those are two different problems. Just because the folks in the cities want to be a bunch of weirdos and hurt each other all the time doesn't mean that us folks out in the rural areas should have to be subject to your dumb shenanigans. I mean, that's why we have, things like the Electoral College when it comes to elections. Like we're talking presidential elections. That's why you have Electoral College, so that it's done by county and things like that, and by areas, so that it's not, just, okay, all the people in the city, because they got this massive population, oh, well, we get to decide what you peons in the country have to do. That's why it's set up that way. And that's why this is so dangerous, is because you get a bunch of people together and all their liberal, anti-gun ideas, and they get something added as a ballot measure. That can be kind of a scary thing.
Yeah. So filed by an interfaith religious group in Portland, Initiative Petition 42 would also require legal gun owners to surrender their assault weapons or face felony charges, according to the language released Tuesday. I'll read some of the actual ballot measure as well. But the group aims to get enough signatures to put the measure before voters in November general election. They would need 88,000 signatures before July 6th, so they've got until middle of the summer. Let's see. The proposal defines any assault weapon as a semi-automatic rifle that has capacity to accept a detachable magazine, any feature like folding and telescoping stock. The usual thing. All right, so this is funny. All right, so a reduction in the availability of assault weapons and large capacity ammunition magazines will promote the public health and safety of the residents of this state, the initiative petition says. Gun advocates obviously denounce the proposal, saying it represents an unprecedented attack on the public's constitutional right to bear arms, which it does.
Obviously, yes.
Let's see, they would require anyone in possession of a assault weapon to sell, surrender, or remove the weapon from the state, render it inoperable within 120 days of the passage, which, if it passes, it'll go into effect January 1st of 2019. Let's see. So this is Representative Bill Post. He's a Republican out of Oregon. This is completely out of hand. I couldn't believe it. I've been told so many times by people in favor of gun control, no one is coming to take your guns. This explicitly comes for your guns. And and it says the initiative was sparked by the recent spate of school shootings, said one of the petitioners, Pastor Mark Newston of the Augustana Lutheran Church in Portland. Whatever. Young people in this country are crying out. This is what I read that really irritates me. He told the Associated Press, "This is the moment in time where we need to step alongside them as adults and do our part with them. The group intends to tap the same young people, or the same young Oregonians, that have been marching in recent protests against gun violence to help circulate the petition for signatures." So you're going to get a whole, slew of bleeding heart children who really don't probably understand that we live in a republic and not a democracy to go out and collect these signatures for something that they really probably don't truly understand the complete gravity of.
You also have to remember what Hillary Clinton said, and she said, raising children is not the job of the parents, it's a job of the state. That's what she said.
Okay. Thank God she's not our
right.
president.
So when you have people like Hillary who think that, they want to mold the minds of your children and this, public education. No, they're going to educate them all right. They're going to completely try to change our society within a couple of generations by brainwashing our kids to think all this garbage.
Well, and you can also thank Hollywood and the media for that brainwashing and all too. So, 1984 much? All right, so
George Orwell.
Yeah. All right, so this got zero comment or help from anyone in Oregon's Democratic leadership. Representative Post said, "The reason they're not supporting this is that they're not stupid." It says that. They're not stupid. They know this would bring out the greatest red wave of votes in Oregon history. Red being pro-gun votes. Duh. Post said he planned to introduce common sense legislation in coming days or weeks that address gun violence in schools. All right, so we must do something. This is crazy.
Well, the governor did sign in something recently up in Oregon that basically, let's see, Governor Kate Brown signed into law a bill that banned stalkers and dating partners convicted of abuse from buying or possessing guns. Well, look, the thing is, I mean, if you are convicted of domestic crime, if it's domestic violence, you can't have a gun anyway. So what does it matter if somebody says, "Oh, you can't do this"?
Because it feels good.
Look, the thing is, it feels good. But the thing is, if you have some type of domestic on your record, you can't buy a gun. And it's bad. I mean, look, if you get in an argument with your spouse or your significant other or whatever, and you have to call the police, somebody's probably going to jail. And guess what? Whoever's going to jail, you're going to lose your gun rights. So just keep that in mind. You decide you want to get in an argument. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to have a discussion about something. Don't be stupid. don't call the dang police. For the love of God, don't hit each other. Don't do stupid crap. Because I have certain feelings about that idea. Because, I mean, you know, you're 18, 19 years old. You're considered an adult. You get in an argument with your girlfriend. She hits you. Well, guess what? Somebody's going to jail, right? Young people argue, okay? Young girlfriends and boyfriends, spouses, young couples, they argue. Sometimes they get a little bit physical when it comes to that sort of thing. Does that mean that somebody should be denied their rights? That's a slippery slope indeed. I mean, I've always had a questionable look at how domestics are handled. I mean, so to say that, you know, let's say you're 40 years old and you got in an argument with your girlfriend when you're 18 years old, does that mean that all of a sudden now you shouldn't be able to own a gun for the rest of your life? But you've lived another 20 years of your life completely crime-free. You've never done a thing wrong in your life. You just got in a little argument when you're 18. Come on. That's a bull crap reason to take somebody's gun rights away. Especially if there's been a certain amount of time, you know, it's gone by and they're completely harmless. They've never done anything wrong. Come on. You know, there's certainly some broken areas with that system that I don't agree with. But I wanted to make mention of that. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, so basically,
I digress.
This goes into describe all the banned items, which is commonplace. If you ever looked at any of the assault weapons banned that are proposed on state or federal level, pretty much everything's the same. Semi-automatic rifles, semi-automatic pistols that can take a detachable magazine outside the pistol grip.
Go and read it for yourself. It's a lot.
The different features, telescoping stocks, pistol grips, thumb hole stocks, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Okay.
Tons.
So... let's see, where was I?
You got to get to my favorite part.
All right, yeah, your favorite part. But, all right, so this too here, all right, it bans a conversion kit part, a combination of parts from which an assault weapon can be assembled if those parts are in possession or under the control of the same person, constructive possession. Okay.
Right, even just having them in the same building,
Yeah.
even if they're not together.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a receiver and then you've got an upper parts kit and a lower parts kit and stuff laying around, then basically you have an assault weapon.
Yeah, even though it's not put together.
Nope. All right, so it goes into describe large capacity feeding
Although,
devices,
one thing I will mention while he's reading along, one thing about constructive possession that the way the ATF approaches that idea is that there has to be intent to assemble the given parts. That's why, okay, and I'm just kind of putting this out there, that's why it's not illegal to have a parts kit in general. So like, say somebody, here's a good example. What a lot of people will do is, let's say that somebody, you know, maybe one day they want to become a firearms manufacturer and they end up buying, you know, they want to get their class 10, class, 07, SOT, FEL, the whole 9 yards, and they want to become an actual firearms manufacturer. I guess that's a class 10 and a class 12, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can correct me on that. But
10's explosives and everything.
right, and then 12 is a manufacturer.
7's manufacturer.
Oh, 7, okay. Well, I'm talking they want to become a full-blown firearm manufacturer, and let's say that they want to be able to, you know, get a letterhead and then build a legal, you know, post-sample machine gun. Well, sometimes these parts will become available, and they're too good to turn down in terms of the price, or sometimes it's just like the perfect kit. It's not illegal to simply purchase the kit and have it in your possession. You know, if somebody were to go, well, why do you have that kit? Oh, well, maybe one day I want to start my own business and I want to make these into a post sample or whatever. It's not illegal to do so. It's not illegal, you know, to simply possess those items. Where the ATF starts to look at it in terms of constructive possession, and what makes the wording of that so ambiguous is that there doesn't have to be any intent with that wording. But just so you know, on the federal level, constructive possession has to do with intent to assemble the said parts in question. So simply having a pile of parts and having a gun that they could, in theory, go in is not enough reason for them to go, oh, well, since you have all this, you have a machine gun. Actually, no, you don't. If the firearm has not been modified to accept the parts, and if you have no intent or show no intent to illegally assemble the parts, then it's not illegal. So it's one of those things that intent is a really, really big legality when it comes to the way the ATF approaches a lot of these things. Everything from, you know, all of these different stocks that people put on their guns, all of the pistol braces and things that people put on their guns, whatever. All of those given things, the intent thing is a really, really big part of how people get in trouble with them versus not getting in trouble. So I just want to kind of mention that.
Yep.
That's my perspective on it. I'm not a legal authority, but that's what I've always been told about it.
Yep. So under this act, basically you have 120 days to surrender the assault weapon or large capacity magazine to law enforcement agency for destruction, transfer the assault weapon or large capacity magazine to a firearms dealer licensed under blah-de-blah for lawful sale or transfer under subsection 2 of this section, yakety yak, render the assault weapon permanently inoperable, or, if eligible, register the assault weapon or large capacity magazine with the department and meet all the requirements under Section 5.
They're even saying that law enforcement and military can keep their assault weapons as long as they register those guns with the police department. So you can be a police officer and have the gun in question, but then that gun has to be registered with the police department, you're a police officer.
Well, it says any government officer, agent, or employee, member of the Armed Forces of the United States, or peace officer that term
keep reading.
is, let's see, as that term is defined in, I guess, the Oregon statute, if the person is otherwise authorized to acquire or possess an assault weapon or large capacity magazine and does so while acting within the scope of that person's duties, they're good. Or like the manufacturer of an assault weapon. So manufacturers are safe, dealers are safe, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, but just, us peons are not in Oregon. So
No, I read somewhere that if we're talking about off-duty, duty use, that's
Yeah.
always a clause
Yeah.
that's put in. I'm talking like if you're a policeman or military, I'm talking about civilian ownership of that item.
Yeah, see, I'm not sure.
It has to be registered.
It has to be registered if it's civilian ownership.
Right.
But if it's a duty weapon, then no.
I read that somewhere. Guys, there's so much red tape in this document. Read it for yourself, but I did read in there that even the police have to register the
All right,
dang
so look at
things.
this. All right, any person who acquires an assault weapon or large capacity magazine for which registration was previously properly obtained under Section 5
God.
by inheritance, bequest, or succession, or by virtue of the person's role as executor or other legal representative in a state trust, shall, within 120 days after acquiring title without being subject to prosecution under section, surrender the assault weapon or transfer it or render it inoperable
all
or
the
register
above.
themselves. So basically, if you inherit an assault weapon that was previously registered, then you have to register it yourself or destroy it or turn it in or whatever. They don't want you to have it.
Right.
And all this is in the scope of
protecting everybody.
My feels.
Protecting everybody from the evil that's out there. Oh my God. Oh my God.
You get to my favorite part.
All right, your favorite part. All right,
Yeah,
let me go
yeah.
all the way down to the bottom. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
skip all this other crap.
Yeah.
Basically, it goes
This is
into...
what you need to hear. This is what makes these kind of people so scary.
So it goes into telling you what the process is for registering and all that happy crap. But it says right here, all right, Section 7. If any provision of this act or its application to any person or circumstances held invalid, the invalidity does not affect other provisions or applications of this act which can be given effect without the invalid provision or application. And to this end, the provisions of this act are severable. So if there's anything in there that is determined to be invalid, they can be separated from the entire act, but the rest of the act will continue on. Now this is This is the best part.
Continue.
The people hereby declare, the people that signed the petition and voted for this, declare that they would have adopted this chapter notwithstanding the unconstitutionality, invalidity, and ineffectiveness of any one of its articles, sections, subsections, sentences, or clauses. So basically, whether or not this is deemed unconstitutional, it can still continue.
Reasons.
Whether or not this is deemed ineffective, as in, hey, we did this for a reason to stop mass shootings. Did it stop it? No. Did it stop violence? No. Oh, well, it's ineffective. Well, guess what? It's still going to continue because we said so. Right here.
Reasons.
Notwithstanding
they are
the
literally telling you
unconstitutionality.
that they don't care that they are depriving you of your constitutional rights.
This is all right. Look, are you done with this?
Yeah.
This is the Constitution. Per these people in
So
Oregon.
yeah.
There you go, right there. There.
Yeah.
That's how they feel about it.
That's
they
what
do not
we're
care.
dealing with. That's what we're dealing
The
with.
Constitution might as well be written on a piece of toilet paper, and they wipe their, you know. But
Well, that's what our
What?
brothers and sisters in Oregon are, Oregonians. Origamians.
let's see,
Like we fold them up like
Oregon,
paper.
Oregonians, Oregon.
It sounds like a master
Oregonians?
race of aliens.
Origamians.
That were anyway. So our Oregonian friends up there
It kills me because
are going through this, and it's sketchy, you know. And we wanted to bring this to light and just make sure that you guys know what's going on. And look, anytime that our viewers send this kind of stuff to us, we try to at least make some minor talking point on Gun Gripes about it, because we care about everybody equally. I mean, we have to stick together in this, and people can't assume, oh, well, it's not happening in my state.
Well, look,
well, it's not my problem. That's the wrong answer. It's all of our problem.
Look,
we have to fight equally for all the other folks in all the other states. We have to constantly make sure that we stick together on this, and that is the nature of these videos, and that we're trying to bring about awareness for our brothers and sisters in Oregon.
Oregon. So how do you fight this as an Oregon resident? Pro 2A supporter, a gun owner. How do you fight this? Well, you start talking about it. And you educate people about it. You talk to everybody you know. You contact your local and state organizations, your Pro 2A organizations, and you find out what they're doing, and you try to get on board with it, and you try to get the word out about this crap right here and get this thing off of the ballot. Don't let them get those signatures.
Educate your reps. You know, if you're elected officials, look.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's a ballot initiative. This is not going to affect any elected representative whatsoever, unless those particular elected reps, depending on where they are, if they're going around and they're helping to get signatures on this petition, then they need to be tarred and feathered.
They do. So that's something that, you know, is a very, very sketchy thing, and we wanted to bring it up and talk about it. And I know to some degree, guys, I know we're kind of preaching the choir. No pun intended. We are kind of preaching the choir here.
Well, preaching the choir and talking to brick walls.
Maybe. But I'd like to think that, you know, the videos do resonate with some people, and we've gotten numerous emails from folks that say, hey, you know, I was, you know, maybe on the anti-gun side, but now I'm on the pro-gun side, or at least in the middle. At least at a minimum, I'm straddling the fence and wondering which side. I'm cool with that. I'm okay with you being in the middle. We can meet in the middle. You know, but we do get a lot of people that follow our videos that, you know, are kind of enlightened by the way that we look at things, and we try to just be kind of common sense and just easygoing. And look, guys, I try my best to see both sides of the situation. You know, you are never going to hear me tell you not to think for yourself. If in your heart you think that supporting that is in your best interest, then I can't stop you. But I am morally obligated to try to do the right thing, and I'm always going to do what is constitutionally valid. And in this case, this is very, very, very rotten. It stinks. It's a bad apple. It needs to go away.
What I would implore people to do who are either on the fence or
deplorable.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
you might be watching this video and you might be thinking these guys are just feeding a line of bullcrap, whatever the case is. You know, they don't know what they're talking about. I would implore you to take some of the things that the mainstream media puts out there about gun violence in this country, and some of the politicians and such put out about gun violence and their statistics that they use and all this, and actually look at, you know, FBI statistical reports, and then also look at other countries, and don't just compare gun violence, compare all violence, and just see what's happening. You'll find some very startling things that go on in other countries with very fervent anti-gun laws where, you know, the common public and the common man can't own a firearm for self-protection. They can't carry a firearm for self-protection. But, you know, all right, criminals may not have as easy access to it, but guess what? They have access to all kinds of other stuff.
And they're still going to get it either way.
And they're still going to
hurt people.
I mean, there's countries out there with, you know, very, very bad gun laws, and hardly anybody owns a firearm, and they have some of the highest murder rates in the entire world. And
not to mention, you know, illicit, illegal guns that are present,
I
regardless.
mean, the black market is always going to be a thing, but
Yeah.
the thing is, we have a constitution for a reason. It was put in place for a purpose.
We have the Bill of Rights for a reason, and our rights are there for a reason.
And these people would seek for nothing more than the complete erosion of the Constitution and complete power by the state. That's, I mean, it's been a thing for a long time. This is just kind of, it ticks along little pieces at a time. And just like this in Oregon, these kind of ballot initiatives where they kind of get that little gray area and get through a little loophole where no one else has to be affected by it, and they just let the people decide, and they get the people on their side because the mainstream media is on their side. Everybody's got cable boxes in their house, and this is the information that they're being
plugged
fed.
in.
They're not being fed the facts. They're being fed the feel-good stories that go and they tug at the heartstrings of people, and they garner to their emotional state. They do not think about this stuff logically. They don't put out logical points, and they don't put out the facts. They flat out lie about this stuff. And, you know, you need to educate people around you about it. And like I said, I would implore anybody who's on the fence to go out and just look at the facts and then make a logical and educated decision for yourself.
Agreed. Well, guys, we wanted to make this video. I think some good points were made, and you know, I know we're preaching the choir to some degree, but share this video with somebody you think it might help, or maybe somebody that's on the fence. You know, I would like to think that we represent gun owners pretty dang well, I'd like to think. I mean, I'm not going to claim to be that guy, but we try our best to be good representations of what your average gun owner, the way that, you know, we all think. And, you know, yeah, it's there's some bullcrap going on, and nobody that's red-blooded agrees with this at all. So, guys, thanks for watching today's video. We appreciate all the support that we get from y'all, all the comments that you leave, all the suggestions. I mean, the reason we're making this video is because one of our viewers blew the whistle on this, so here we are. I mean, we're always going to fight for you guys. That's what we do. My heart and everything that I do in my everyday life will always be towards the good of the Republic, the good of the Constitution,
liberty,
and liberty. That's our voice of reason, is liberty and what's right and what's wrong, and that's always going to be the principles that we hold dear, and that's the I guess where we come from in these videos. So thank you very much for watching today. We hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.